name is Jane Morton, Dr. Jane Morton. I'm a pediatrician, and today I want to talk to you about breastfeeding a premature baby. I hope that I can help you by making this very memorable and very simple and practical. And I really hope at the end of this talk that you come out feeling that breastfeeding a premature baby is not just simply about making milk, which is what a lot of mothers sort of feel they're there to do. So to make it very simple, we're going to break it down to A, B, and C. And A is attachment, meaning how does the baby learn how, the rather sophisticated technique of learning how to latch onto a breast and use her jaw and tongue to massage milk out of the breast, because a baby doesn't use the nipple as a straw, but uses her jaw and tongue to massage milk out. Then we'll talk about B, or breast milk production. It's true that making plenty of milk is the key to successful breastfeeding, so it's super important. And then we'll talk about C, or calories, the baby's consumption, what the baby gets. And first we'll talk about, for each one, A, B, and C, we'll talk about sort of how nature ideally designed it, and then we'll talk about you and how you can take these lessons from nature and apply them to your own situation. So we'll start with A, attachment. Every mammal, right after birth, the baby recovers for a brief period of time, as if he or she is a nice healthy baby, fills his lungs up with air, kind of recovers, and then starts smacking his lips, moving his head around, and gradually moving towards the breast. Now, how did he learn to do that? Why is he doing that? The reason is that he's trained. He's trained to do that because before he was born, he was bathed in this wonderful amniotic fluid, this ocean fluid. And in the fluid were these pheromones, or very powerful scents or smells. And these smells are unique in each mother. And they depend on your genes and they depend on your diet. No two mothers are identical. And the interesting thing is, these pheromones have taught this baby for weeks and months to suck, swallow, turn, root towards pressure, and find the source of this smell. And not surprisingly, breast milk has the identical smell, particularly strong in colostrum, which is what I'll call first milk. And so once he's born, he's actually not hungry. He's programmed to seek out this source. So he doesn't find the breast and latch on because of vision, but because of scent. And his sense of smell is stronger at birth than it'll ever be again. In fact, the first nerve from the brain, the cranial nerve 1, is for smell. Now, how does this apply to you? Now, your baby too is familiar, maybe not quite as familiar, but familiar with this scent. And your baby too is familiar with your touch and being held by you. And every intensive care nursery in the world now knows from very good science that one of the most powerful things that can happen to this baby, whether he's sick or just little and recovering, is to be held by you, because it is your scent, your warmth, your holding, this skin-to-skin holding that is so critical to his learning these baby steps of breastfeeding. And I don't mean t-shirt to bra, I mean skin to skin, right between your breasts or right on your breasts. So over time, he'll gradually learn all the same little nutritive behaviors of rooting and sucking and swallowing that a term baby will. And there's no urgency on this. You can relax about this. Time is on your side. But there's one caveat, and that is any baby, even term babies who have difficulty with latching on, do a whole lot better if your production is high and the milk flows easily for him, and he can make little mistakes with his jaw and mouth and still access the milk. That leads us to B, breast milk production. How do you get your production high? Well, let's now go back again to Mother Nature and the first hour. And think this time of every mammal, and think that, after delivery, especially a mammal that's had, multiple babies, like let's say a puppy dog who's had 10 little puppy dogs, wouldn't you think that that mammal would feel like, give me a break? I don't want to learn about this nursing right now. But as nature dictates, this is the prime time to stimulate your production. This is the time you phone in your order for how much milk production potential you're going to have weeks from now. That's because it isn't hormones that stimulate your milk production automatically. It's the frequent and the effective and the early removal of first milk that programs your breasts. And so it's sort of like a rocket ship. It's sort of like when you launch a rocket ship, the energy goes into the beginning. This is boost off time. This is the time you don't fool around. You don't begin to celebrate the birth of a baby or even worry about the baby in the NICU at this point. This is the time you get serious about expressing milk so that you can do what nature wanted you to do. So what does this look like for you personally as a mother of a premature baby or one who expects to deliver a premature baby? Ideally, this is what happens. The baby's born, and in the operating room or in labor and delivery, you just use these wonderful tools called your hands. And you use your hands, and they're very comfortable, and you massage out the milk just as the baby would from the very first hour. And you do it as much as you can. You do it when you're on the phone. You do it when you're in the shower. You do it when you're beside your baby. You just do it, do it, do it. Because the more you get out, you're not wasting it. The more you get out, the more you produce. You're turning on the factories in your breast at this point. So if you have a baby who's in the NICU and probably will be in the intensive care nursery for a while, you'll also want to use a breast pump, a rental grade electric breast pump. But what we know is that mothers who use very frequent hand expression in the first 3 days, only the first 3 days, plus a pump, produce far more milk months later. This is probably because breast milk is so viscous that pump suction can't pump it out as easily as your hands can massage it out. Plus, mothers find their hands much more comfortable than a pump. The other thing that we've learned from our studies is that once your milk supply starts picking up, which it usually does around the 3rd day, that using a technique called hands-on pumping, where you use both the suction of the pump and your hands together, means 2 things. You get more milk, and your milk is richer. It has more fat, which is really important for the development of your baby's brain. So there are 2 wonderful videos that I want you to watch, both on the Stanford website. Just Google Stanford breastfeeding. One of them is about hand expression, and these are mothers with premature babies showing you these techniques. And the other is called Maximizing Milk Production, and that tells you how hands-on production works. So Even though you can relax about attachment, with production, this is where you need to really get pretty serious. So this leads me to calories, or C. A, attachment, B, breast milk production, and now C, calories or consumption. You might wonder why in the first hour babies are so aggressive at getting to the breast. It's not because of hunger, because they've had their last meal through the umbilical cord, and it was cut after he was delivered. So he's not really hungry. But as nature designed it, he needs to be protected. And your milk has concentrated double whammy protection. And by that I mean you give him your own unique antibodies. And he also gets these bioactive factors that are only in breast milk, not in formula, that stimulate your baby's own immune system. And so he begins to become stronger himself with your colostrum. So let's take a look at this for you. You've probably noticed by now that breastfeeding a premature baby is not like a term baby, in that with a term baby it would be A, B, C prioritized, and that would all work out well. But for a premature baby, it's sort of the reverse. It's sort of B, C, A. And the road to attachment, again, can be long. Usually these tiny little babies, by the time they get to their due date, they're pretty good nursers. But again, that depends on the demanding work, and I know it's demanding, of getting your production up high soon. The littler the baby, the higher you need to get it. But what I want to close by telling you is that again, this is not all about making milk. This is like sort of giving your baby back what he missed by being born early. What you're giving him back is, as best you can, duplicating his in-uterine experience. He's getting your warmth, he's getting your touch, he's getting your skin to skin, he's getting your scent, he's getting your immunities, he's getting his nutrition. So he's getting all of the things in that respect that he would have gotten had he not been born so early. But more importantly, this is how he keeps the connection with you. And this is how you keep the connection with him. And that's vital. So breastfeeding is not just a gift to your baby, though it is. And it's not just a gift that only you can give, though it is. It's a gift that you receive as well. It's a real giving and taking. And the benefits to you and to your baby don't end when you wean a baby. They last for the end of your life. There are many, many protective features about breastfeeding that program you so that you as a mother and this as your little baby will be protected